Hey everyone, this is Jamie, and I just wanted to do a quick little review on a book that I started using as a read aloud that I really love, and I was pleasantly surprised at how well it's going to go along with our science for this year. So if you're doing any sort of animal or nature type science or biomes, biology, that kind of thing, this is a great book to use as a read aloud with your younger kids. We are doing Classical Conversations Cycle 1 this fall, which starts with animal classifications and things like that. So this is actually going to go really, really well. And I'm going to read a little short spot in the book where it brings up how well this matches with Classical Conversations Cycle 1. But overall, so basically this is the book. It's the Burgess Animal Book for children. It's been around for a while. I've seen it mentioned and recommended on Facebooks and different homeschool resource sites and things like that for years. And I finally bought it, I think last year, and never really picked it up. And so I thought, well, this might be a fun little read aloud to do over the summer every once in a while and that kind of thing, see how we like it, see if I want to include it through the year. And so this has been kind of a bedtime story book for us. We just started not long ago, and I think we're only on, page 30 or something like that. And it's the cutest little book, but I will preface it by saying that this is not a biblical worldview book, okay? So some of the references in here, one of the main things is it starts out with a rabbit named Peter Rabbit, and he finds and talks to a bird in the very beginning of the story, and he discovers that he does not know as much about his rabbit family and the other animals that are close relatives to the rabbits as much as he thought he did. And so the bird suggests that he goes to school with Mother Nature. So he does, and that's where he starts his journey of educating himself on all things about rabbits and hares, but then it goes on from there to all these other different animal families and things. So that's where it goes. Mother Nature is given the her character in this book is that she is the true Mother Nature, in the sense that Mother Nature created all things nature and animals, and that, she is responsible for all of that and how things work together in nature and amongst the living creatures that live in nature. So obviously not a biblical worldview. I do not read it that way. So I read the parts of old Mother Nature, and we talk about Mother Nature in here. And as far as I'm concerned, Mother Nature is just a character in the story that knows a lot about nature and the animals and the things, and kind of a caretaker of the woods and the forests and things where this book is taking place. The parts that reference, or the things that Mother Nature says in the story that alludes to the idea that she created these animals, or that she created the nature, or controls the nature or the seasons and that sort of thing, I just amend that as I'm reading. I either ignore it and skip through those few words, or I mention the fact that she mentions how God created those things. So that is how I edit the story for my personal belief system and how I want to read the book to my child. And I can do that very easily on the spot as I read, and feel like I'm not taking away from the rest of the story at all. So if you have a problem with the Mother Nature idea, that might be a way for you to still enjoy the story and still kind of deliver it from a more biblical worldview perspective. Okay, so moving on from that, like I said, it starts with Peter. He goes to school with Mother Nature, who starts to tell him about his relatives within the rabbit family and the hare family. And then that moves on into other creatures like the squirrels and the squirrel family, and the fact that they are in fact also related. And so it goes on and on. So here's a little spot here. He's talking about the squirrels, and this is what old Mother Nature says. She says, "I thought as much. In the first place, the animals of the great world are divided into big groups or divisions. And then these groups are divided into smaller groups, and these in turn into still smaller groups." So this goes right along with what we're going to be learning about with animal classifications. Happy Jack and Chatterer belong to a group called the Squirrel Family. So these are characters that we've just recently met in the story. And Peter and Jumper, those are the rabbit and the hare, to a group called the Hare Family. Both of these families and several other families belong to a bigger group called an order. And this order is the order of gnawers, or rodents. Peter Rabbit fairly jumped up into the air. He was so excited. Then Jumper and I must be related to Happy Jack and Chatterer. Those are the squirrels. He cried. In a way you are, replied Old Mother Nature. It isn't a very close relationship, but you still are related. All of you are rodents. So are the members of the rat and mouse family, the beaver family, the porcupine family, the pocket gopher family, and it goes on from there. She lists a few more. And then these are going to become more characters that we're going to start learning and reading about. So as you can see, it does a great job of explaining and going into the idea of the classifications of animals and mammals and all of those kinds of things. In the beginning in the chapters, it tells you all the different animals that you're going to learn about, everything from, like I said, the rabbits to the squirrels and the other rodent families, as well as, I don't know, it goes on and on. Now there's a fox and coyote and the gopher, a badger and a wolverine, and all the way through buffaloes and bisons and even mammals of the seas at towards the very end. So it's a great book. It has some really pretty illustrations. I just have the one that's in black and white. I think there's a color one. But I just wanted to kind of give that review of a great book with a little bit of a caveat about Mother Nature. So I hope you enjoy.